will. From a view to a kill. Pick your switch, crack the whip. The world is my oyster, no guilt trip. I just go with the flow. I follow.
Hello, and welcome to Carnival Personnel Sideshow. I'm Jacques.
And I am Biff.
And I'm Joe.
and
Hi, fellas.
And so today we actually have a guest with a moniker of talent, which is a lot more than the three of us can say collectively.
Or modicum.
See, some people can even speak English real good. So my wife, management, many years ago ran across this gentleman in the theater scene in Boston. She moved out to LA. She lost contact with some people. And about 3 years ago, our good friend of the podcast, Sully, who lives for the band Tragedy, after years of telling me, you got to see this band next time you come home. You got to see this band. We got to take you to them next time they come to town. And so I went to see Tragedy, the Bee Gees, death metal cover band. They're awesome. And we get into the Middle East Cafe, and management looks up on the stage and it's like, oh my God, that is my friend Gene, who is the front man of a band that was playing the same club that night, and reconnected somewhat. And then a few weeks ago when we were doing the Paul Lynde Sideshow, I remember my wife telling me, oh, Gene loves Paul Lynde and was doing this play on Paul Lynde years ago. You guys should talk before you do the podcast. I reached out to Gene for some unknown reason. He took my phone call. We chatted for a long time about a lot of different things, and with nothing else to drag this on, welcome, Gene.
Well, thank you very much. I'm very flattered to be here and really excited to have a chance to chat with you guys.
So are you a writer, a singer, an actor, or yes to all the above?
I have to say yes to all the above. The Paul Lynde show in particular that we wrote, I wrote it with my, I call her my soul sister, my writing partner, my business partner, my co-conspirator, a woman named Lisa Boucher Hartman. We actually toured in Rocky Horror together in Europe in 98, 99. Then we came to America, returned to America a couple years later. We both starred in a production of Hedwig and the Angry Inch. And then we decided we wanted to work on something original. So we were both fascinated with Paul Lynde's story. So we took an angle on that. Also, I write pretty much all the music that I record with my band. I come in with a finished song, basically acoustic guitar and vocal. So, and then my band helps me flesh it out. So I, of course, share writing credit with them because they're exponentially better musicians than I will ever be. And that's not my function in the band. I'm there to initiate songs and sing them. And then also I'm an actor. I've done many years of stage. I really started kind of late in my life. I didn't start acting on stage until I was 21. And now I'm solely focused on doing stuff on film and television right now. I'm in the union, so I'm in SAG-AFTRA. I've got a couple things under my belt. Keep moving forward.
Well, it was a really fun story. Tell the story about, what you auditioned for and what you wound up doing with the touring Rocky Horror production.
Well, the Rocky Horror, I went to an open call. I was at a wedding up here in Boston, and I have a friend who lives in New York and had moved there to go to one of the acting academies there. And he just kind of, said, what are you doing here? He's like, you're a better actor than me. You should be in New York acting. And I said, oh, bring me the newspaper that actors find work. And this is back when you had to actually get a newspaper. That's how old I am. And he brought me backstage, and I saw there was an open call for Rocky Horror, not the movie thing that I had been doing with your wife, and that's where we met, in Harvard Square. This was the touring Broadway show. And I said, you know what, I'm going to get this. And so I went down there. It was an open call. I waited for a couple of hours for my turn, as every good boy and girl does. And I knew I couldn't out-sing or out-dance anyone. So what I did was I made a pair of homemade rip-away pants. And under the pants, I had platform like Nancy Sinatra, go-go boots, fishnets, a garter belt, boy underwear, but little black briefs. So it kind of looked like Frankenfurter. And and I did that song because I hadn't done musical theater before that, and I had really no intention to. I don't want to grapevine and spirit fingers my life away. I would never be any good at it. You know what I mean? So I just went in and at a key moment, I ripped my pants off and swung them over my head and, started sashaying around, got up right in their faces. And I said, well, I got to go for broke. And they asked me to come back in, do the same exact thing for the director. And the lead guy, I had no idea that the lead was already taken. So I ended up getting in the show as the understudy for Riff Raff. That's how sexy I must have been in those garters.
Nice.
You remind me of Meatloaf.
Right? I to be honest, I was a little chunkier then. So, of course, we're all too close to ourselves to see it. But now when I look back, I'm like, ooh, yeah, that might have been daring, but not sexy.
And I was telling Biff beforehand, it was about a year ago that management, stopped whatever we were watching on Apple TV because she saw this on Facebook and she played it on the TV. Tell us about your hockey commercial, because Biff and I met playing hockey 30 years ago in LA. And that's, I'm going to say all but Joe, who listens to this podcast, are big hockey people, players.
Sure. This is before I had an agent and I was still non-union. I go into a couple of casting directors here in Boston a lot when I'm right for the part, or if I see a listing. I answered, a call. I signed up for a call for this non-union commercial for Bauer, and I somehow got it. I went in and I did the audition. You read cold, and I had a couple minutes to study it. But the guy who was the ultimate decision maker said, you read a line a certain way, and it made me laugh. And I was like, that's the guy. So the commercial it's called Play Like a Girl. And it's about they call it the slogan, or the hashtag is like the women's movement never stops. And it's to celebrate female athletes in the world of hockey. And there are some very, very, very talented women that play professional hockey in a women's league. And then we can get into the whole gender discussion if we want, but the message was, it's the old thing. Come on, we're all roughly in the same decade. You hit like a girl, you walk, you talk, you play like a girl, you fight like a girl. It was always a put down, right? And so this ad campaign flipped that and used, you guys are playing. My opening line is, I don't believe what I'm seeing. You're playing like a bunch of women, and you like, oh my God. And then the character, me in the commercial, cites you over there. You're playing like, that move was this girl, that move was that lady, that move was this woman. And the idea was that I'm saying, like, I'm seeing some good stuff out there, but everybody over a certain age, and probably sadly today, people still use that, like, be a girly man. Like, what a shitty thing to say. I mean, I know it was accepted back then, but calling someone a pussy is the worst. Like, I don't know about you, but every woman I know, or everyone who's got one, or is identifying like they have one, has been pretty fucking tough in my life.
I gotta say that. So I just love that. I just thought it was a fantastic commercial, and obviously you did an amazing job. I mean, and because I'm a huge fan of the women's hockey, as a sport also. I mean, and obviously you're setting the Marie-Philippe Poulins and the legends in the game and stuff like that. I just thought, when I first saw that, I was kind of blown away. It was just, my God, what a fantastic commercial. So it's just great to hear that, you're able to get that, and what a wonderful commercial that was.
Yeah, Biff and I have been lucky enough to play with some of the best women hockey players who aren't women hockey players. They're amazing hockey players, period. So that commercial really hit home for us.
Well, I'm so excited to hear that, because I will say, they say never read the comments. On Bauer's site, there were so many people that were mothers or fathers of girl hockey players, girl athletes, and they were so excited to see that inclusion and that celebration. There's always going to be a few, white male fragile egos that can't stand it and whatever, but you can't give those people attention, because they're truly psychopaths, meaning they just want some kind of attention, even if it's negative. That's really all psychopaths want, is they don't care how they get it, as long as you acknowledge them And you can't pay attention to those people. They need to just go find a cliff and jump real hard.
So I'm kind of bouncing all over the place. The big thing is the Paul Lynde thing. Tell the story about how that came together, because Kathy, who we had on a few weeks ago, who wrote the book. Don't tell me. All right, you tell me, Joe.
Yeah, Paul Lynde, his life, his love, and laughter.
Right. She was great, and you had, when I reached out to Gene, he had already read the book. He's a fan. Tell us about your play, how it came together, and what you did with it, because it's an amazing story, and I really need to see it in person.
Oh, sure. Well, I think it was 2016. Lisa Boucher Hartman and I we bonded instantly at that Rocky Horror open call, and then we both were at the callback, and then we were both at the airport, because you don't get the cast list on those things. When you get hired, you sign your contract, you show up, and we both happened to be on the same flight. Actually, I think we're all on the same flight. So if that plane went down, that show would have been screwed. But it would have made way for 8 more actors. So hey, I shouldn't make jokes like that.
This is the perfect podcast to make jokes like that.
Go right ahead.
A, we appreciate the jokes, and B, no one will hear them. So
I remember.
go for broke, man.
It's a win-win to me. But Lisa and I, we just I don't know what it was. We felt a kindredship, and even on the flight, I think about 3 hours into the flight to Germany, we were both out of our seats because I can't sit still that long. You're sitting in a tube with recycled air with a bunch of assholes you don't know, and there's never enough legroom. There's never enough liquor. You can't get high.
Recording
it's amazing.
In progress.
And so I have to sign this. Hang on a second. Got it.
Yeah,
okay.
Recording on as a backup. We got this.
Got a little editing for shock.
Not a worry. Yeah. So we bonded instantly from the open call, and then the callback, and then of course we were on tour together. So when we came back, and we were always like, well, let's do something together. We Hedvig was first, and that was perfect. And we were probably, aside from the first company that got the official license, our production of Hedvig was the first like independent one in Boston. And we ended up doing in 2011 we remounted it and did a tour of New England with it. So we were pretty tight. And then we said, okay, let's jump into, instead of trying to find, okay, what's the next one we're going to do, with a big cast, there's something about the two of us just working together in a little corral, circle our wagons and kind of hedgehog that thing. I had based the character's mannerisms on Paul Lynde for a show I was doing with Ryan Landry. And it just became such a hit. And so I started reading about the actual Paul Lynde, who I remember as a kid. I mean, he's a household name. And, the Halloween special is legendary, the Hollywood Squares, all the one-liners. So I said to Lisa, I forget which one of us said it, but we were like, this guy's life is really interesting. Let's dig. So we read everything we could get on Paul Lynde. Kathy's book. Kathy is an absolute sweetheart. And why I like her book is, I say this, and I think I said it in an Amazon review too. It's from the perspective of someone who really loved him, and yes, forgave what kind of a quirky, erratic, not the nicest person in the world, but it's surely an interesting, dynamic, and charismatic one. That's not to say he was a jerk. He was not. I don't think he was, but
he was always nice to me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's famous stories about cocktail parties where by the end of the night, somebody went home crying because Paul he went on the ramp, and that's the way Paul was. And I think that's how he vented his frustrations in life. But so Lisa and I saw eye to eye on the fascination with this guy. So I said, well, let's pick things that we feel are in the public domain, so we're not stealing content. And then let's do some what ifs, because let's take creative license. We'll play with the chronology a little, and we did this, and we framed it because a biopic is boring, and it also doesn't happen in the way a classic script should happen. There's prologue, there's ramp up, there's conflict, there's resolution, there's epilogue. Life doesn't happen that way. So a biopic, you have to tell it it's like Pulp Fiction, or I just finished Pam and Tommy with the flashbacks into different things. I loved that. I don't know if you guys are. I thought it was going to be junk food TV, and all I can say is, oh my God, I really, really loved it. But we can talk about that too. So we set this thing the night he decides to go back on Hollywood Squares. I believe he quit in 79 and then rejoined in 79. So I said, what if we just set it? He's talking to us, the audience. There's no fourth wall. So it's a bit of a stand-up routine. And we said, what if it's just the night he fucking lets it all out? And he's like, I'm never going to do that again. And then he just kind of goes through things in his life that he thought were either exciting, exalting, ratifying, or frustrating. And we found an event in his life that that I can personally say, I do not know how heavy this was with him, but I know that I believe Kathy said, he said, it's the worst thing that ever happened to me. And I knew it just reading about the event. But back then there was no internet, there was no paparazzi. There was, it was the mid to late 60s or mid to early 60s, I think. I haven't looked at it in a few years. I apologize. But you write something, you let it out, you give birth, you let it go. It's like
that's how I treat my kids.
Right. And they know to go to the ocean. Sadly, my kids don't. No, I'm just kidding. I don't have any kids. But I really felt strongly that this was a catalytic event in his life, and I wanted to center what we were doing and see how it fit into that and how it shaped his decision making. And I thought that was an important thing to include, and then to base it from there. And it kind of just took shape naturally. And then to keep people, to not end it on a downer, we framed the entire show with him in the Hollywood Squares box doing the one-liners, because let's face it, of all the awesome things, everybody laughs at those one-liners, and those are priceless, and they were written for and with him. So I feel pretty good about it. And the writers have stayed pretty anonymous. So, I mean, it's just to bring joy. If anything, if it excites people about Hollywood Squares again, that would be great. Maybe they can bring it back again, but, hey, Bruce Valanche is hilarious. So
that absolutely is.
100%.
And thank goodness for those game show networks, right? Yeah. I mean, those, we're able to actually watch that on TV again. So
and YouTube.
Exactly.
So where did the play wind up? And I know there was involvement with his niece who runs his estate, right?
Yes. So we wrote it. Part of us figured, because we're writing about a famous person, that we can just kind of do it. And because I've read everything and it's really nebulous. It's like, it's this weird thing where, like, they're in the public eye, so they've given up certain privacy things, but they also have the right to publicity, and we're using their name. So I said, well, let me find out who owns the estate, who administers the estate. And so I reached out. I happened to find his estate through, I forget what it is. I might have even been through SAG-AFTRA, who the estate contact was. It's his niece, and she's a lovely woman. I sent her a copy of the script. I thought I wasn't going to hear back for a few weeks. She called me 3 days later and was like, this, I mean, I'm paraphrasing. I can't remember it exactly, but she said, I was very worried that you were going to write all about the salacious, the dirt. Everyone loves to talk about, oh, he went out, he dated this male prostitute, or he did that, or whatever, the dirty. And I was like, that's not important. To me, like, that didn't define him. Those are actions he might have done. But she told me, she said, I feel like you've written a serious play about his life. And then I said, well, our approach, and this was the mantra or the banner over which we entered the door to write. When we said, Paul Lynde's number one frustration was he never was given a serious role to do. Everyone wanted the voice, and they didn't, right? And he was capable of so much more. He was heralded as an actor in his college days, and he was capable of it, but they wanted that personality. They wanted him they didn't allow him to make the Tom Hanks jump. I feel similarly about Jim Carrey. Like, he's made attempts, but everybody wants, early Jim Carrey, and he's capable of so much more. And so I said, let's look at this script as Paul was frustrated that he didn't have a serious role, but his life was a serious role. The way he treated his life, the way he valued his craft and what he did and everything was so serious and so dramatic. And there were funny moments, there are funny moments, there are sad moments. And they had to be pretty heavy. But that's where we approached it from a serious, and his niece agreed with us. We signed an agreement together. And we launched the show at a fringe festival up in Portland. I think it's called Port Fringe. It's a fringe theater festival. We did it, I think, 3 nights there. I'm using my memory, so I apologize. I don't have notes. And I remember after every show, there would be a crowd of people over 50 waiting to meet me because they were fascinated. They all grew up on Paul Lynde and they had no idea, so we would have like a post-mortem every night with these folks. So then a few months later, we relaunched the show in Boston. We only really got to do a weekend in. We had several communications with an individual who claimed to have the exclusive rights to use the Paul Lynde name and portray him in a live theater capacity. We kept asking for proof and we weren't given the proof. So we just proceeded with good faith because we had an agreement. And finally, we were allowed vision into the agreement that they had signed with the estate, and the estate was there was some confusion as to who had like exclusivity or in perpetuity, things like that. So we ceased production, sadly. But you never know what the future.
Yeah, that's terrible. It sounds like a real life copyright claim on like a YouTube video that you would upload. Like, hey, I found this cool little thing and I'm going to share it with the world. It's like, no, that we own the rights to that. And then sometimes it's at least you got closure and you got actual like verification that this person who claimed they own the rights actually did have the rights to it. Because sometimes people can just come out of the blue and just stake their flag in that, and then they just have the legal know-how to kind of tie you up so that you can't continue with your project. But it stinks.
Is there a chance to seize the light of day? I mean, how long do they have the option for?
As far as I know, as I've read, it's in perpetuity. So unless I will say this, the person's very successful at what they did and where they're going with it. I always wish them well. I would love to see the opportunity for a sub-licensing deal if we have to go through them at some point. I'm not what do you call it? I'm not
litigious
opposed to anything like that. I would love to work with them. I can honestly look in the mirror and look myself in the eye and said, did I do everything above board and proper to try to make this work? And I did, and Lisa and I both did. And so sadly, they didn't want to work with us. I don't know if things will change in the future. I would love that. But the next time we go to make a go at anything, it won't be me reaching out. It's going to be my lawyer.
That sounds like a tragedy.
Now,
speaking of tragedy,
go ahead.
Hey, I like your segue.
Yeah, of course. You got another show coming up with these guys. When is that show? Is that at the Middle East as well?
It is. It's actually it's the old TT the Bear's place. The brothers who own the Middle East, the family that owns the Middle East, purchased that, and now it has been rechristened as a place called Sonia, Sonia, and they went in and they remodeled. It's amazing, and it's bigger. You saw us, I believe, at the Middle East upstairs, yes, which is under 200. This is over 200. I don't know exactly what the capacity is, but it's a much newer venue. It's going to be amazing. Saturday, April 29th it's on GeneDante.com. I'm sure if you Google them there, it's on their website as well. It's going to be an amazing show. I love those guys. We had such a great time playing with them a few years back. And now that COVID's, that's me knocking on wood, lightening up, and we're going to see the end of it. And anyone listening who wants to go, please look at the venues COVID policy. Do not trust anything other than the COVID policy, COVID safety protocols that are on the venue site. Just because they're absent from somewhere else, that doesn't exempt you from it. You have to look at the venues. I'm sure it's on the ticket thing too, but I say that a lot because everyone there's always somebody with a hair across their ass about the safety protocols, and they're beyond my control. I don't set them. If I had my way, you'd all be wearing bondage masks under a hazmat suit, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah.
Wait, but can I pick the color of the bondage mask?
I'll allow it.
Yeah, I neither Joe or I like to leave our homes, but having seen Tragedy twice and having seen your band, it's well worth the incredulous journey from Lowell to Cambridge to see that. Now, do you guys get to? Are you friends with like the booker, and you're like, hey, we want to play with these guys again? It can't be like just a coincidence that you're playing with those guys again.
We were chosen by one of the staff booking agents at the Middle East the first time. And then I just really, there's a guy named Royce Peterson, who's a lead guitar player for Tragedy. He's just such a cool guy. And I must have said something right. I wore the right dress. I don't even know, but he reached out to me a few months back and said, hey, we're coming back to Cambridge. Here's the date. Do you want to get in on this? And I was like, oh my God. Yeah, I will say yes to them if and or when I'm at all possible to do that. I love them. It's a party. It is a goddamn party, and rock and roll should be a party as well as all the other stuff you feel.
When my band was my life, one of the great things is we knew that, ChiChis was one of our favorite places, but if there was a band that we loved, you don't get paid much for playing, but you're saving whatever you would pay to see that band by getting to open for them. And so that was always like, oh, that's an extra $50 if we open for Dinosaur or not, never Dinosaur Jr., but a Buffalo Tom or Fivehead. So you guys getting to play with them is great. I'm super excited. So what is happening next in the acting realm?
I'm really right now. I am. I've been auditioning. I get seen for everything that comes through New England, which is great. I have no complaints. I will say this: a lot of people get frustrated if they called me in 8 times for 8 different parts. I didn't get anything. The victory is that they keep calling you in. They know you're going to bring something. There's no controlling the decision makers, the final people who make the decision. So many times people don't get a part, and it's not because they're not a good actor. It's because, I'm sorry, but your hair color is wrong. You're too tall. We really want a blue-eyed girl. I'm sorry, or well, actually this part, it's going to a person of color because the rest of the cast is white and we don't need you.
Yeah, it's a biopic on Martin Luther King. So it's like, why are you even auditioning, man? It's like,
why are you calling me in for this?
I know. What is that? What was that? I shouldn't even. Seth Myers did a thing called White Savior, and how all these people try to write. Oh my God, they try to write these empowering movies for people of color, and then they bring in the white guy to be like, you're right. They're right. We're wrong. It's like, we don't, yo, Cracker, we don't need you.
I'm so glad you referenced that because my wife has many boyfriends. John Mulaney's her stand-up boyfriend. Seth Myers is her late-night boyfriend. And I cannot tell you how many times we reference White Savior. It is the best.
The caucasity is real. It is crazy. But about acting, I get called in a lot, which I can't complain. It's great. I have an agent in New England. I have an agent in Los Angeles, so I'm getting called in. The next step is to make the leap to like a guest role on a major television. I will say that everything I've done so far, obviously I Defending Jacob came out, was it a year ago, 2 years ago? I don't even know. I had a small part opposite Chris Evans. And then I will be, unless I end up on the cutting room floor, which is entirely possible, which is why I'm not one of those actors who's like, I got into so-and-so, because I'm at that point where when they're editing for time, guess who gets cut first? It's going to be one of the roles I'm playing because they may or may not be essential to the story. You can't take it personally. I got paid, but you run that risk. So there's nothing worse than blowing your horn. It's like counting your chickens before they've hatched. You can't do it. Now, allegedly, my character's in the script for episode 5 of Julia on HBO Max. How much of that ends up in? I did a song. I have a singing portion in that we filmed. I have a little bit of dialogue. I didn't really get to interact too much with Sarah, but oh my God, if you ever need to see Julia Child again, she's amazing. I like just seeing her on set and getting the eavesdrop on what's going on. And then I just saw the trailer and I was like, oh my God, she's even better than I knew she was going to be great, but oh wow, it's going to be good. It's got to be. The caliber of the cast. Julia Child's just the subject matter is amazing, but so we'll see if I hope I make it in, because I would love to be associated with a high quality product. But it's art, people, it's art. So that's, that's in the can. If it becomes part of it, I'll be very excited. And then, I just get, audition season starting up again. Usually about April, May is when all the auditions come to New England, because they want to film in the summer, because our winters are absolutely brutal.
Are they?
When something's,
I've heard that.
Right? Yeah, I don't care how expensive LA is looking, it's looking better and better every damn year.
Worth every penny.
So
yeah.
Where can people follow you? How can they follow you? Is your music on can you call out to your Alexa speaker and have it play your music? How can people hear and follow you?
I really hope you can call. I had never tried that because, honestly, I want to be like, Alexa, self-destruct. I can't stand the idea. I say this, but I have an iPhone, and I say I can't stand the idea of something with a microphone that could turn on and off on its own without us knowing in the presence of us. But let's face it, our phones, those microphones are always on, because somebody said, what was it? It was like Michelle Lee in my company. And then I went on my Instagram search page and all these pictures of Michelle Lee or something. And now there's going to be more because I just said it again and I'm using my phone to talk to you. Yeah.
Well, you said bondage mask earlier, so I don't know.
Man.
Yeah. Your feed's going to be awful interesting.
Right. I know. Yeah. But I say fuck so many times in my life and other various body part swears that start with the letter A, B, D, and I don't get pictures of those, but,
so do you have any,
from the search,
any specific plugs or, anything like that?
Sure. I mean, everything, you can really find everything at genedante.com. However, if you really want to get tricky and you want really easy links, I did the link tree. So linktr.ee/Gene Dante. The first thing I did before I got any headway in the entertainment industry was I locked down all my socials with Gene Dante. So everything at Gene Dante comes up. If you search for Gene Dante with quotes around it, you will get probably 4 pages of stuff of mine on Google. If you don't put the quotes, you're going to get my stuff. And then you're going to get, I think there's some video game anime thing where there's a Gene character and a Dante character.
Awesome.
I had no idea. I will say that, what is it? If you anagram my name, it's Need Agent, which I thought was kind of funny.
That's amazing.
Wow. Great.
And okay, so we will post all that. Is there a song of yours we should go out on?
Well, let's pick something new from the new album. It's called Deluxe. That's DL/UX. It's stylized, but we say deluxe, but also it actually stands for the down low user experience. And so there are 15 tracks on that record. I would say there's an oldie but a goodie on there, and it's called Little Bell. But if you want something nice and upbeat, and since we're going out, I would say High Time, because that chorus is, it's high time you leave.
Nice.
Gene, this was absolutely great. I'd like you to come back on after the Tragedy show so we could talk about that, if you could do that. And Joe, you got any thoughts?
Well, I just have one question. What does this mean to play us out? What does that mean? I don't understand. There's nothing. I can't read it. There's no words there. I can't.
Right.
Fuck it. We'll do it live.
I asked for this.
Yeah. And
I'll write it and we'll do it live. Fucking thing
Live.
sucks.
If you don't know what Joe's doing, Bill O'Reilly, when he was a local newsman, did a rant one night, and Joe goes into that rant, and every single time it brings a tear to my eye.
Gene, I wouldn't have done it if I didn't know that not everybody in the world knows about that rant.
Oh no.
No, it's not. like literally, just because they don't get the joke doesn't mean it's not funny.
You're right.
That's what I've told every
it's not
crowd
funny.
that saw my stand-up. It's not that I'm not funny; it's you don't get my jokes, man.
That's pretty much covers it.
Hey, anytime you can reference a freak out on tape by really anyone, but especially someone like Bill O'Reilly, get it. Because then it's funny. I've heard the Casey Kasem one. I've heard the Paul Anka one. I've heard the Buddy Rich one. But Bill O'Reilly, because I don't have any respect for him. So I love to see someone like that. Go ahead, please. Here, let me keep handing you rope. That's what I'm going to do.
The Tom Cruise one is one of my favorites. No, the Christian Bale. Christian Bale. I'm a professional. Oh, good for you.
And everyone was like, the big argument about that freak out was he was complaining because he was in such an emotional moment of the script. And everyone who's seen the final cut of that movie is like, what part of this movie could that have possibly been? There's nothing in this movie except the word Terminator and the IP. There's no, I'm sorry, Christian Bale's great, but you can't polish a turd.
No.
And I'm sorry, but like,
let's just say it moved him to a bigger house.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, no shit, right?
So, the best thing about that freak out is an LA band turned it into a song, and it's just so good. But Gene, this was way too much fun. I'm going to get down to the show early on the 29th. And I can't say thank you enough, man.
Oh, please. Thank you. I'm psyched to be on here. I heard the Kathy interview and I was so excited because she's just, you know what? Like, I hate to say anyone's a regular person, but she's still real. She's a mom. She's lives in a suburb and she, wrote about one of her idols but you guys really, really handled the interview wonderfully. You guys are a ton of fun. And I'm just psyched to be included in the group, man. I've been such an outsider for so long. To have somebody accept me in, it's just...
We like you. We really, really like you.
Yeah. Well, next time I'd really love to hear a lot more about the music aspect because obviously, that would be awesome.
I would love that because we got a lot going on with the album. It just came out at the end of 2021. We've got 3 videos out where the plan is we already have another video in the can with some really lo-fi special effects that I think you're going to get a kick of if you're an old action figures, dolls, kind of fan. And and then the plan is to do videos for everything because we won't see vinyl for this album. It's a double vinyl. Because there's so many tracks on it, we're not going to see that till November. So we're going to be pushing something new out, hopefully every month until we get that. Yeah, I'm excited. The vinyl's going to be badass. I've seen the mock-ups of the way it's going to look. It's actually the vinyl. When you get the digital album and CD, which is an art book, we sell this high quality art book of the CD, 40 pages of my gorgeous mug everywhere. Yeah, there's actually really good looking people, not me, in there. But the vinyl, 15 songs fit on 3 sides, and then side D, the 4th side, is actually a bonus EP of stuff we've never released on physical medium. So you get like 6 extra tracks if you buy the vinyl.
And you can get that on your website.
Nice.
Yes, GeneDante.com. We sell it all. Or if you go to GeneDante.com, it'll take you to H1 Massive, my record label. That's the label I'm on, H1Massive.com. I'm on there. We've got a growing portfolio of awesome artists on H1 Massive, h1massive.com/shop. And you can see we even have a version of the deluxe CD art book and cassette. We're calling it the Glory to Ukraine edition, where I include a thank you note, handwritten lyrics, sunflower seeds, a sunflower sticker. And once we're done with this promotional campaign, we're going to make a decent donation to International Rescue Organization, which is aiding Ukrainian refugees. That's our little bit that we're doing for it.
You're good too.
I'm trying, man. If I can use my whoring powers for good, I'm going to do it.
He said whoring like a bad thing.
Oh no, are you kidding? Dude, I am Mr. Whore.
But you're an actor and a lead singer. That doesn't make any sense.
Right, I know. It's all a big charade. Just to use the really pretentious way to say that word.
Thank you. All right. Thank you so much, Gene.
Little bell, do their prayers keep you company? Little bell, Was that you making noise at all the boys coming then going down on First Street? Little bell, guardian angel, smile watching over the golden child, safe in the arms of past relations. Little bell, we'll join you soon, it won't be long when time's measured in oblivion. Little bell, guardian angel, smile watching over the golden child. Oh, won't you smile watching over the golden child. Now I never knew you, neither did he, my future boyfriend. I never knew he existed till Kitten faxed me his picture. Was that your influence? Oh, was it your spell? Oh, oh, oh. Little bell, baby doll, kisses sweet. Little bell, will you watch over me the next time in NYC when I go down on Christopher Street? Little bell, guardian angel, smile watching over the golden child. Smile watching over